If you're under the rating of 2000 elo and you want to win more chess games, then I highly recommend you to give your opponent a chance to blunder. Okay? Most of us, whenever we play chess, we think that we have to commit, we have to attack the opponent in order to get a winning position. But sometimes all you have to do, just wait for them to make the blunder and then exploit that blunder. Because every single game under 2000 elo is won or lost because of a blunder. So either you make the blunder or your opponent. And all I'm telling you, give the opponent a chance. I'll be showing you a game played by one of my members in my free chess improvement community if you want to join and be hosted in this channel. Now, this game was played at the 1800 elo level, okay? So it's not really beginner, but look, I'm going to try to simplify it as much as I can, okay? The game started with this move e4, then black played the Caro-Kann defense, and then with this move knight to c3. The idea behind the Caro-Kann defense that you're trying to, if they never take you or push, then you have to take them, okay? Now here there are two possible continuations. Knight f6, which is the Tartakower. They take, you put the bishop there in castle. My member don't like that. We play bishop to f5. They drop the knight back, and now your bishop is hanging. You have to move back. Then they play this move h4, and you have to be careful here. e6, knight f6, whatever, then you might be blundering this h5, and your bishop will be hanging. Therefore, you have to make a room for your bishop to go back. They play knight to f3. And now here they're trying to put the knight on e5, attack your bishop, and ruin the pawn structure, get in with the bishop. It's an annoying variation, but all you have to do, stop the knight from going here. So you play knight to d7. They play h5, attacking your bishop. You have no choice but to go back. Then they, offer the bishop trade. All of this is theory, okay? It has been played before a lot, so you will get used to it. Whenever you play it over and over again, you will get used to it and you will memorize all of this. But you don't have to memorize it, okay? But you just have to know that you should not be allowing them to take you, because then you will never be able to castle. Therefore, you have to take, the queen will take, and now you play e6. The reason you want to play e6, you just want to open up for your bishop. The queen can always get out, the knight, and then you try to castle. That's the idea behind the opening phase. Don't overcomplicate it, okay? Don't go for opening tricks or traps or whatever. Play solid openings. And the most important thing, play the same thing over and over again, okay? You will learn a lot by just playing the same thing, and you will become a beast at it. No one can beat you when you play the same thing over and over again. You will understand every single variation. That will help you win more games, of course. So now white played this move, bishop to f4. Okay, what would you play here with black? Well, you can get out with the knight. You can play bishop e7. You can play a check, for example. You can play queen a5 check. Now here what black did, queen a5 check. Now this is a it's not a very common line, because most people, just play knight f6, e7, bishop e7, try to castle, okay? But this move also works. And the idea behind this, that we're trying to get the queen out, trying to activate the queen. Because as you can see, they have an active queen, active bishop, and two active knights, and a pawn in the center. So they have some activities, so that we have to do something like that. We have to get our pieces out. So we can get the queen out with a check. That's really good. White went back to attack the queen. Now you don't move the queen here. You play bishop to b5, bishop to b4. And if they want to take you, you will take back. You're attacking their pawn. And if they want to play something like b3, they're just after this, that would be a blunder, and they will lose the pawn. Okay. Or they have to block with the queen. So here, white decided not to take the bishop and played this move c3. Now the bishop is hanging. The bishop went back to e7, and the reason bishop to e7 and not bishop to d6, because here it's better, because in the future they will be able to play a move like g4 and g5. It's going to be very annoying. So bishop on d6 will not be stopping that move from happening, but bishop to e7 will definitely be stopping the pawn from reaching g5, because you have the bishop, the pawn, and the queen looking at that square. That's why bishop e7. Okay, here they castled, and black here played knight f6, because they castled kingside. That means they're not going to go for g4 anymore. If they wanted to go for this move g4, then they would have to castle queenside. But if they castle queenside, they will be dropping the pawn on a2, right? That's why they castled kingside. Now this pawn on h5 is not hanging, but it's very weak, right? It's only defended by the knight, attacked by our queen. Black played knight f6, rook to e1. Now, I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to, assess the position. Is this a blunder, or is this a good move? Is this pawn hanging, or is it not? Pause the video and try to find the move on your own. Alright, so, yes, the pawn here is attacked 1 in 2 times. It's only defended once, but you cannot take it. The reason you cannot take it, but if they take back, you're completely winning. You won a pawn, okay? But they're not going to take back. Why? Because the knight here, okay, is protected by the queen. So all what white has to do is just to attack the queen, attack the defender of the knight. So they play a move like c4. Give us the queen. The queen cannot stay on the same rank as the knight. Therefore, we have to move the queen back and lose our knight. That's why we cannot capture the pawn in h5. It is attacked twice and only defended once, but sometimes things don't go our way. Black castled, and he found out that this is not hanging. Now white played king h1, and no, this is not a setup. White just played king h1. Okay, he had he played this move in just 2 seconds. White was blitzing out the moves here, so he played king h1. Now I want you to reassess the position and see what is happening. What can you do here as black? Well, in this position, this pawn on h5 is now hanging. Before, here it was not hanging. But now, it is hanging. And the difference is that after we take this pawn, right, and they go for a move like c4, or maybe potentially b4 to attack the queen. Yes, for example here, a move like c4 would attack the queen. But we don't have to move the queen first, because if we did, we're going to lose the knight. But the downside of this move king h1, that it walks into a check. We can take this knight with a check. They would take back, damage their pawn structure. We move the queen from danger with a check. They move their king, and now we are up a pawn. We have a good position. They have a really messed up pawn structure here, and that's enough to win the game. So, why white played this move? I don't know why he played king h1. Honestly, I don't know. But this move is a blunder, and it robs the pawn at h5. They knew this, so they did not go for c4, they did not go for b4. They just took the knight, queen takes h5, the knight went back to block, and now, how to pressure the opponent? Because look, black played a solid opening, okay? Look, every single move was not a blunder. I just want to get active. Look, everything's active, right? Developing the knight and trying to castle. Black did nothing wrong until king h1 happened. So this is a proof that all you have to do is just give your opponent a chance to blunder, okay? Just play solid moves, solid openings, solid everything, and then they will figure out a way to make a blunder, okay? They will either play too fast or they will play too slow and then lose on time. But, again, they will make a blunder. Either you or they're going to make the blunder. So all you have to do is just wait for them to make it. And here they made it, and they played king h1. Here black managed to find that knight takes h5, and this moment is actually winning because after this the knight went back. Now black is up a pawn. It's not completely winning, so you're not winning the game like right now, but you're up material, and being up material is going to help you trade more pieces and get into an endgame, a winning endgame. Then you can win the game then. So now here black played this move bishop to d6, getting their bishop active and targeting the knight on h2, which is pinned. So we're adding pressure right here. This move adds pressure. This move, knight to f6 and knight g4, also works, but it takes time. This move is just one move, and it is attacking the opponent and squeezing the opponent. Here white played this move queen h3, and this is a question for you. Would you take the queen? Pause the video and say, would you take the queen, and why? Ask yourself why. The most important thing in chess is the why behind our moves, not the moves themselves. Okay. If you said you don't want to take, then you messed up. Why? Let me show you. If you just move the queen, for example, queen to g6, they will move their knight, and nothing is happening. Look, as long as they have the queen on the board, they can have some counterplay. They can attack you because the queen is very strong, and also with the rooks, with the bishop and the knight, he can have some fighting chances. But if the queens were not on the board and you're up material, then it's going to help you attack the opponent, pressure the opponent, and they don't have something to attack you with because the queens are already off the board. But you have an advantage because you're up a pawn. That's the idea. So here, the best move was to take the queen. So great job if you said that. And also, taking the queen, why is it good? Not because we're up material, but because whenever we take and they take back, now they have a weak pawn on f2, a weak pawn on h3, and they have this pawn formation here. So they have 1 pawn island, 2 pawn islands, and 3 pawn islands, where we only have 2. The more pawn islands you have, the weaker your position is, okay? These two pawns are going to become a target in the future. That's why we took the queen. That's why we, disconnected them, right? So that we can target them in the future. Okay, and also we are getting rid of any kind of counterplay moves for the opponent, so that should be a really good move. Here, black played knight f6, getting in with their pieces, very good move. And now rook g1. Now they're trying to add some counterplay. The idea behind rook g1 that they're pinning this pawn on g7, and they're trying to get rid of this pawn, and that would be a free pawn, so we have to do something about that. So black played king h7, protecting everything. That's good. And now the knight jumped in. Another question for you: would you take the knight? Some of you might immediately just take the knight because we're up material, we're up a pawn, we're going to be trading everything, every single thing on the board, and then we're going to be winning this game. Look, that works. Okay, trading everything, that might work at sometimes, but only one pawn. I don't know how to take. Look, sometimes it's enough, sometimes it's not. Chess is very hard, okay? Sometimes it's enough to win the game, only one pawn, but sometimes it is not. And you just have to know. You just have this feeling if you know it's going to be enough or not. If it's an endgame where it's going to be super easy, like there's a pawn here and there's nothing there, then yeah, trading everything and pushing this pawn makes sense. But now, as you can see, the position is still there are still some fighting chances. So just taking right now and trading everything, you'll be getting into an endgame like it's going to be very difficult for you to actually feel the pawn that you won, right? So if there was like really cool chances of you just promoting to a pawn, then trading every single thing and removing the defenders of the opponent, then that would be great. But in this specific position, taking the knight is not going to be that helpful. So black here did the right thing and went knight to e4, attacking the bishop and also attacking the pawn on f2. So that's great. White played this move bishop to e3. And now, as black, what would you do here? What would you do? Think about it. What would you do here? And the way to come up with an idea to pressure the opponent is to look at what are the weaknesses for the opponent, and then how can I add more pressure at that weakness? What are the weaknesses? No weaknesses there. The bishop is defended. The rooks are safe. The king is safe. The knight is safe. What are the weaknesses? Well, the weaknesses are the pawns that I already told you about before. The pawn on f2 and the pawn on h3. This pawn is weak, but can we attack it immediately? Like a move like knight here would not do anything. He can just take it, and it's not going to be that good. Right. But this pawn on f2 is weak. You might say, come on, this pawn is protected twice. No, it's not. It's protected only once, because the knight can be attacked. So, some of you might say, well, we can play h5. But h5 is not going to be that great. Why? Because it's only one mover. Me see knight, me attack knight. I don't want you to play one movers, okay? One movers are bad, really bad. You need to have a follow-up. Like, I want to do this move, and then there's another move right after it that's going to help me win the game, okay? If you have that, thinking system in mind, then yes, that would be a good move. But if you only have one move, and you don't even know where that piece that you're attacking is going to land, then you should not go for it. Like a move like h5, I want to attack the knight. But do you know where the knight is going to go? No. Then you shouldn't play the move. You shouldn't play it. The knight can go here, the knight can go back, and if the knight went here, you might say, okay, I want to attack it again. And then they go back. So now what did you achieve? Absolutely nothing. You did not achieve anything. The knight cannot go back to safety. A move like this would be, a little bit annoying. If you want to go back, you'll be dropping the pawn. And you can clearly see how things can go bad immediately because one movers. So don't go for one movers unless you have a clear idea what you're going to do next. Okay, so look, the idea of attacking the knight is correct, but not with h5, with the move f5. Why? Because f5 helps us, like whenever the knight moves from here, we have a follow-up plan. Okay, I'm going to attack the knight. The knight can go whatever, but then we're going to attack the bishop, right? That's the goal, because the pawn on f2 is the weakness. So we want to attack the knight first to remove one of the defenders, and once this defender is gone, we're going to attack the second defender, and once the bishop is gone, we will be winning a pawn. This is how to pressure the opponent. Look at their weakness. Look at the defenders of of that weakness. Kick those defenders away, and then capture the weakness. That's it. Now here, white play this move, knight to e5, and here you have an option to just play f4 right away, attacking the bishop, or you can just take the knight. Whenever you have one of your opponent pieces in your half of the board, right, you should not allow it to stay there. Okay, and also here black found out that after takes, he's gonna play this move and the bishop has to go back and then he would win the pawn. So he saw that he's gonna be up 2 pawns, so it is good for him to give up the bishop for the knight, because he would be up 2 pawns, and being up 2 pawns is enough, is really enough to win the game. Only 1 pawn is not that great, but 2, yeah, it is enough. So he took, and white took back, and now this move f4. Give me the bishop. The bishop has to go, and when the bishop goes away, knight takes here with a check. The knight might go here, jump around, and then win the second pawn. The rooks will be very, very active, and black will be winning this game for sure. Now here, white played bishop to d4. Bishop d4 is like, okay, I'm defending this pawn, I'm defending that pawn, and you're not going to win that pawn on f2. Because they know if they lose the pawn on f2, they're completely losing, because down 2 pawns is very, very huge. But this move is a blunder. You might say, why? Well, the bishop here is stuck, cannot move, right? So black played this move c5, give us the bishop. Now here, the best move for white actually is to, look, their bishop is dead. Their bishop is dead, so if they have to fight back, and the only way to do that is to play rook g1. You want to take my bishop, I will take your knight. But even this position, even that after takes, even this position is winning for black. Why? Look at these 4 pawn islands. 4. That's a big weakness. That's a huge weakness. Black can play g5, get the king here to the center, defend, attack as well, get the rooks on the open files, and then win the game much, much faster. So it was still winning, but that's a way to at least get back the some of the material that he lost because of that bishop. But then here, after this move c5, white played f3, thinking that, okay, we take their bishop and they take our knight. But they thought wrong, because this move used to defend the g3 square, but now since he pushed, nothing is protecting that square, so that's a check. The king has to move and we would win the bishop for free. So now here white just gave up the rook for the knight. We took, and then they took this pawn, right? Now here, how to convert the winning position. So you managed to successfully play solid openings, solid chess. You waited for them to make the blunder. They did. You exploited the blunder. You're up material. Great. Now what? You need to have a clean conversion of the position. Okay? Don't play too fast. Many of us get overwhelmed. Like, yeah, I'm completely winning. Whatever. Just do whatever. No. Play accurately, because if you play passively, then you'll be dropping your advantage. You need to maintain the advantage that you gained. Otherwise, it will be a draw, or even worse, you will lose that game. Therefore here, black just took the pawn, right? And the king got active. You cannot defend the rook. Okay, many players here, oh, I'm completely winning, up 3 points, let me just go here with the rook, and lose the game because bishop takes. It's not losing the game, but it's messy. It's very messy, okay. So here, black just moved away, attacking the pawn on e5. So he's like, okay, take my pawn, I will take your pawn. That's good. So now here, white played bishop to d4, protecting, and now black played rook g5. He really, really trying to maintain the advantage. That's the thing you need to do. Whenever you are up material, do not give up any material, unless you're sacrificing a piece to get the checkmate immediately right after. But if you're not going to get a checkmate, do not give up only 1 pawn. Don't give up anything. Okay, maintain all the advantage. Now white here played this move h4, attacking the rook. The rook moved, attacking the pawn and also defending. The king got active, and now this move h5. As you can see, the rook and the pawn are on light square, so this bishop is completely useless with dealing with these 2 pieces. Here white got wanted to play rook g1, and he wanted to win this pawn on g3. Okay, here you want obviously to use your rook. But if you just use your rook right now and play the move like rook f5, rook f8, what the hell is rook f5? Okay, rook f8, trying to get in with your rook. That will drop this pawn on a7, right? You might say, well, you can go back and win this pawn. Yeah, but you get the point. You need to protect your pieces first, okay? Because then if they manage to win this pawn, they would have 3 pawns like this, attacking only 1. So they would have some fighting chances. You don't want to give them any chances of counterplay. So black played a6 first, put the pawns on light squares. Okay, always look what his pieces can do. he has a bishop, dark square bishop. Then put every single one of your pawns on light squares. He can never attack them. If they have a light square bishop, put every one of your pawns on dark squares so they can never attack you. Okay, and then you can safely use your pieces and actually win their pawns. So a6 was played, and here white took the pawn. If you're down material, do not trade. Use that material to attack the opponent. Sometimes it's going to be very, very silly to actually think about that. You might think, okay, I'm just going to resign. But no, try to use that. Try to use the material that you have. For example, I don't know, I mean, this position itself looks very horrible, like the rook trying to get in, trying to win something there, trying to push the pawns. That would be considered a counterplay. And since, the bishop can always go back and stop the pawn from promoting, so you don't have to worry about that as white. But trading into like a 100% losing endgame, then you're just making the process of winning for the opponent much, much faster. Okay? Defend. The last soul. Defend. Okay. Rook takes, king takes, and now black played a beautiful move, rook f8. The most important thing in the endgame is restricting the king's movement of the opponent. Now, as you can see, with this move, the king is not going to get active, and the bishop here cannot do anything to these three pawns because they're all on light squares. So these pawns are gonna be struggling to make a passer, and our king will get very active. We will win the pawns, and that would be great because the king cannot actually get in because of our pawn and because of our rook. So that will give us time to get in with our pieces. So now here white played bishop c5 attacking the rook. The rook got in, and now black's trying to go here if the pawn was pushed, some kind of ways to win the pawns and stuff like that. So a3 and king g6. Alright, bishop d4 and king f5. Now, restricting the enemy king, that's number one priority for you. You should not be allowing them to move their king. Moving their pieces could be fine if the piece is completely useless. For example, in this position, this bishop is completely useless. Look, it cannot do anything to these pawns, and also this pawn on g6 will be there. The bishop cannot do anything. So, if you just restricted the movement of the king, they cannot do anything. You will be having more time to get your king in and winning the pawns and winning the game much faster. Okay. They played this move c4, and that is a mistake. Why is that a mistake? Pause the video and see the tactic. It's a very simple one. You have to see it, okay? Come on. Two pieces are on the same diagonal. Sorry, same rank. Okay, so we can play just move like rook f4, give me the bishop, and give me the pawn. The bishop went back, and now black managed to win a second pawn, so now he's up 3 points of material. Here, white played just king h3. Now, what did I tell you about the end game? Restrict the king's movement. So, this was already a small box. Make it even smaller. Rook g4. They will not be moving their king anytime sooner. So now here, they play this move b4. The same thing, the same tactic, the same thing that I told you about when they had a bishop and a pawn here. They have a bishop, king, and a pawn all on the same rank. You need to exploit that. You need to convert the winning positions, without having to go after all of the pawns, gobble everything. No, you have to, use your pieces effectively. And so black played king f4. King f4 is really good. If you give me a check, I will win this pawn. And if you don't give me a check, I'm just going to play you a check, and I'm going to win the bishop or the pawn behind. White saw that and played bishop d4, but then a check, and black managed to win a pawn. Now, as you can see, we're making the process of winning the game much faster because we will be going after this pawn, and we'll be pushing our pawns, trying to promote, while making the box smaller for the king, and that would be obviously winning. Here, white played this move, bishop to b2, and come on, you have to see this. The same tactic. King and a piece on the same rank. Just spin it, and white resign here. How did black manage to win this game? He played a solid opening. He did not go for any opening trick or traps. Yes, what I'm showing you right here is a lot of theory, but he's in 1800s. They are prepared, okay? And even if you are a beginner watching this or intermediate, just play solid openings. Do not invent new openings. Do not invent new moves. They don't exist, okay? Play solid openings, solid moves. Just get into an equal position and then slowly move your pieces and just making them more active. Just making them more active, and then wait for them to make the blunder. Once they make it, you will be able to see it. Okay, but just spend some time. Think. Okay, I've seen many players play super fast. Like this guy with the white pieces, he lost the game. He lost the game. He had 8 minutes on the clock. 8 minutes. You play a 10-minute rapid game and you lose in only 2 minutes. That's insane. Spend some time on your moves. If you just spend more time on every single move, you will become more aware of what you did and what your opponent did, and that will help you win more games. Hopefully this video was very helpful for you, and consider joining my free chess improvement community if you want to be hosted on this channel. Thank you for watching.